Occupy the Getty gains momentum. Good evening. This is Stephen Kelley. This is the Stephen D. Kelley Show. This is TruthCat Radio, www.truthcatradio.com. It is Thursday night, August 13th, 2020. It is now 6 p.m. where I'm sitting here in Southern California. As I said, the title of tonight's show is Occupy the Getty Gains Momentum. So, before I get started on explaining what all that means and what I'm going to tell you about, I want to explain something very quick to somebody that might be listening to this show for the first time, somebody that may have listened to a few shows but doesn't quite understand how we are different than your average information source or something that you might see on YouTube or listen to. And that is, first of all, we are not doing this as a business, even though so many great sources of information out there are primarily businesses and careers for those people doing that. But this is not a career for us. This is a mission. Obviously, this is my life mission, and this has a mission that is bigger than myself, certainly, and greater than my life. And for the last 20 years or so, since at least for the last 8 years, we have been publicly asking people to become involved and to put out the effort to join the cause and make this mission part of their life and be part of this great salvation or this change that will basically correct 25 million years of evil. Now, you need to understand, if you are a first-time listener or you're not used to this program, is that this movement is like a family, is a relatively bonded community, is a very small community, but there are many of us that have dedicated their lives to this mission. Some have even dedicated their souls to this mission. So when we talk and we share this information, we are speaking to people that we want to convince and want to wake up, and we're speaking to our troops, those that work so hard to make the memes and to create content that hopefully will attract more people to our cause, and those people who have become Jedi, who actually are working in the astral right now, and we will talk about that tonight because this is a very large portion of what's going on. But one of the biggest things that I want to do to celebrate or to acknowledge the efforts and the progress that our movement is making, especially nowadays, on all these various fronts that we'll talk about, is I want to give special thanks and recognition to all those who have answered the call to work at this as if their lives depended on it, and as the lives of countless generations of children depend on it, future and past and present. So this is the greatest mission of our lives, and this is the greatest mission of our earth, and this is the greatest mission of humankind has ever embarked on in the last 25 million years. And we are going to succeed, and we are going to cause the end of the darkness that has been enveloping this globe and much of the universe for so long. And it's a wonderful time to be alive, and it's a very proud moment for those of us who realize that we were born for this time to become part of this, and that nothing is a coincidence, and everything is leading us to this ultimate destination. And as I've tried to say, it's a very slow process, but if you're paying attention, you could see that the events and the things that are happening around you are happening a bit faster, and they're becoming a little more wild and a little more harder to explain. We're going to talk about some of those crazy things, and today, of course, has been a very, very crazy day. There's all sorts of things going on celestially, astronomically, that are affecting us also, but this is all part of what we're going through. So first of all, once again, I want to credit the efforts of many of you, and I do want to focus on certain individuals like Kathleen, and I know that Kathleen, of course, there's a lot of people out there like you that are doing this also, but your efforts have been very fruitful. These things are extremely useful for the cause because, as I've been trying to tell all of you, getting the content, getting the idea in front of as many strangers and people as you can is crucial to the growth of our mission and the growth of the number of people that are aware of our mission and beginning to dedicate their lives. And what's so incredible is when one person puts out significant amounts of effort and they have dedicated their lives, because you really do have to do that because this is a faith-based operation. But once you've done that, you start to affect other people and you start to wake up other people. And what's wonderful is when you've affected numerous people, those people awake and those people realize that it's their cause they've been looking for and it's their time to get involved in something bigger than themselves is going to lead to salvation that so many of us are desiring. So this is a wonderful time to be a part of a movement that is the only movement that is truly the plan to save the world. And of course, these concepts and terms are being co-opted and taken over by our enemies, but this is failing. And the more this happens, the more these enemies try to control the dialogue and try to interfere and try to take over movements that we have caused, it fails. Because all they're trying to do is harness our momentum and harness our ideas. But it's not working anymore because we're seeing through their bullshit and everything that they do is blowing up in their faces and only promoting our cause. So that in itself is a wonderful thing to witness because it's truly the way God works. When Satan does something and believes that that is the one act that will cause the destruction of his enemies, invariably it will always result in God's will being done and something that will eventually cause Satan to basically cause something to happen which will be the last thing he wanted to have happened. He being a gender that I just assigned. But this is how things work. So, again, if we just talk about the progress with people learning about the Getty, we want to talk about humans, but we also want to talk about the rest of the universe because people, I want you to understand that this issue and this work and this mission is far greater than humans can understand because humans are used to living in a world that revolves around humans. But please try to understand that there are many entities in this universe, thousands of entities in this universe. Among those, of course, are our ancestors and angels and our guides. And these individuals are around us all the time. And in the heavens, if you will, there are great hosts of those who have come before us and those of other planets and other galaxies, all of creation. For the last, well, we're talking about an events that have been going on for 25 million years. Obviously, this is an event that is just a mere incident in the grand scheme of time. And yet at the same time, we have massive amounts of support working with us now. And we have a massive audience, and they are very happy with what we are doing. And everybody wants to see the finale, and they want to enjoy seeing the enemy defeated. And we are doing this, and is creating quite a spectacle. And the damage that we have done, and the damage that we continue to do, is inspiring and entertaining at the same time to the entire universe. So that's one thing that we simple humans can be very satisfied because we've become, those of us that have become involved in this, we're like celebrities right now, if that's something that you can understand. Our names are written on the walls of heaven. What more could you ask for? So on the physical level, worldwide. Obviously, things are happening. Just today, I could go on and tell you all these stories about wild events, coincidences, things that just didn't make any sense, that would almost seem to involve ghosts and people that shouldn't be there. Maybe we'll have time. I'll tell you about the story about the motorcyclist on the freeway that I dealt with, but I want to focus on the mission for the moment. But on a physical level, I'll tell you this. Every day I get emails because you people are spreading the word that if you email me, I will send you the book. I will provide healing. And I will also recruit you as a Jedi to fight against evil in the astral. And all you need to do, those of you that are listening right now that are interested in these things, is send an email to law17gun@aol.com. That's law17gun@aol.com. Indicate one of those three things that you'd like. Send a book. I want Lasers, Cavers, and Magic book, which is a PDF, of course. And if you need healing, if it's for your grandmother, I don't care if it's for you. It would help if you tell me what it is that you need to have healed, and then I will ask you to send a photograph of the person that needs the healing, and I will also ask you to make sure that I have permission from that person, yourself or someone else, to do what I do. And once I have that, I will do it. And I'm just going to tell you that, again, this is just a gift that we use, and if it attracts attention to the cause, that's a good thing. But healing is one of those spiritual gifts, and everything we're doing is very heavily in the spiritual realm. So I would expect anybody that's becoming proficient at being a Jedi is going to and should make every attempt to try to provide healing whenever possible, because it does make you stronger. But many people are wanting the book. The book is going viral. The book, of course, Lasers, Cavers, and Magic. When you do send me an email to get the book, I will ask you to share it with your friends and with your family to spread the word. Now, apparently, the book is entertaining because several people have told me they've read it more than once. And another thing that's interesting, and this is also very good to know because there's so many people putting out links to tell people how to get the book, and that is there has been a demand for this book. Many of the people who are asking for copies, PDF copies of the book, will say that they've been looking for it on Amazon and they've been doing this. Now, of course, on Amazon, the title of the book is the title of the book is Cities Under the Plain, and I suspect maybe that was a plot to make sure that people would be confused. But hey, that's just a second revision. First revision, of course, is Lasers, Cavers, and Magic, and I'll send that to you. It's not available anyway otherwise. And, of course, you don't pay for it. If you want to send me something for it. For those of you that have got the book and you wanted to pay for it, if you want, you can send something to Stephen Kelley, 714@gmail.com. That's STEVENKELLEY, 714@gmail.com. And say it's for a friend, and I'll get the whole thing. But anyway, so this is an indicator. So from what I'm seeing, the book is going viral. That means people are waking up, the information is getting out there, and people want to see Getty. Now, we know a lot of hashtags have been removed, but the Occupy the Getty hashtag has not been removed. But the hashtag Save the Children, we all know the story about that. We all know that was a kooky, evil, money-grabbing wannabe charity, and they were making money off of our movement. Now, a lot of you have woken up to that, which just goes to show that everything our opponents do leads to a positive effect in our interest. So, I want to. Before I move on, I'm going to thank all of you again just for that stuff, and I'm going to ask you to keep doing it. Now, for instance, we did have let me see who Isabel set up a page today. I'm just going to read to you this if I can find it. Oh, I probably can't find it now. Darn it. Well, I suppose I could. I think she sent me an email. But basically, one of the pages that she set up was called Save the Children Under the Getty. This was on Facebook. And I've told all of you to do this, to set up pages, because this is like baiting a hook and throwing it in the water. And I just want to remind you that you all need to do that. Now, I could probably pull this up. Let me see. No, maybe I can't. Whatever. Not sure how I don't remember how she said. Oh, I guess it was on Skype. That's why I can't see it. Okay, I'm not going to move from the Skype page because I'll screw up. But anyway, she got two letters. One of them was interesting enough, was from a U.S. Customs agent, and this guy had ridiculous amounts of police credentials because I read up on what he had to say. But he had sent this note, and he posted it as a comment, I believe, on this Save the Children Under the Getty page, and he talked about how it was his experience that the U.S. Customs was involved in looking the other way as children were being brought into the country. And he complained about this and reported it to the FBI, and he basically was told that these agencies had wide discretion to ignore it. Now, his life, of course, has been ruined, and he's having economic hardship. I noticed he had a Patreon page. I'm not going to give his name out right here because, like I said, I can't look it up. But the point is that here's a man with ridiculously good law enforcement, government, federal credentials that was a firsthand witness of exactly what we're talking about. And yet he used this page dedicated to our movement that flat out said, save the children under the Getty. And in other words, if we get more people like that to rally around our cause, do you have any question of what's coming next? Believe it or not, even though those of you that are listening right now, and those of you that will listen to this in the future on YouTube when this goes up, and X number of thousand people that might eventually ever listen to it, at least as far as they let me know listen to it, you will represent a very tiny yet very concentrated, powerful group of people responsible for this infection, this truth infection that's going out there right now, that is going to cause the downfall of an evil that has plagued the earth for 25 million years. Now, I know you may say that sounds ridiculous, but I just want to see the children saved. You have to understand, 7 years ago, many people thought that this idea was crazy. Bunkers underground that could house 100,000 children. Everyone was so good at making up reasons of why this was not logical, and therefore it was insane. And I've endured that for a long time, and I appreciate all the people that tell me that how much they appreciate my perseverance in trying to finish this and stop the horrible things that they're doing, and basically take the benefits of that action and share it on a worldwide basis in order to completely shut down the power structure as it is right now. And I'll say that right now, just for the record, because I know so many governments, especially the one in this country, have laws that would deem what I'm saying treasonous, subversive, possibly even rebellious. But make no mistake, I have reported my claims to the FBI, just as this person, this customs agent, has. And I was basically informed that nothing would happen. Well, it doesn't matter anymore because we are destroying them. Now, they have proven that they are unable to kill me. They have flat out said they couldn't kill me, and they flat out said that they know that we win. Now, I want you to know, yes, they know we win. Now, just to put this into a perspective that you might understand, Hitler knew World War II was over in 1942. All right? Now, just try to understand. The war ended in 1945, whatever. But the point is that they already knew years before that it was over, and they shipped everything out. This is what's going on right now. Many of you have suggested that there is fighting going on underground, tunnels being destroyed, children being rescued, enemy being slaughtered, all of this sort of thing. Now think about it. Once again, if you use the Nazis as it's probably a great example, but what did the Nazis do after the Bobby whatever, I get the name wrong, of course, I apologize, but the incident with all the Polish officers dead out in the forest, Bobby Yar? Yeah, that's it, Bobby Yar. The Soviets, of course, were the ones responsible for that act, but at the same time, smartly, they blamed it on the Germans. Now, the Germans, of course, knew that they didn't do it, but it didn't matter because the old art of war basically is do something really heinous to get people riled up, and they did it before the Germans could do it. But what did the Germans do? They went back to every grave site that they had mass burials going on. They dug up the corpses, put them on big stacks of firewood, and burned them. Then they crushed everything up. Easy enough to do. They go over it with a couple steamrollers. That would crush up any skulls or whatever. And then they scattered it to the wind. Okay? This is why there's no evidence of all the millions of people they killed. And stop saying it was just the Jews, because you know what? Guess what? They killed Catholics too, bitches. I'm so sick of this shit. Come on. I grew up with people who were survivors, all right? Anyway. So let's just say, just the efforts that we're doing here on the surface, our efforts here on the internet, are having a great impact. Okay, so we can all be very proud of that. And of course, I want to be very thankful to all of you that have helped me to basically withdraw slightly, because I need a break. And I need to basically know that I was killing myself to get you guys fired up. And it seems like it's working. And we're reaching a critical mass. So if you'll pardon me, today was a very bad day, and I'll get into that, but at the same time, it was a very wild and crazy day. Now, I'll just suggest one thing real quick to throw out there, but I have a feeling that what took place in Beirut, i.e. the big explosion, might have had something to do with basically creating a portal to release something very evil onto the world. I know that sounds nutty, but you gotta understand that what we do, battling evil, is nutty. And very often, it involves a portal. Now, people say that the reptoids are cleaning out of town, they're clearing out, and that it's those entities that are basically destroying their evidence and destroying their tracks and getting out of Dodge. It's true. They are fleeing. But you need to understand that for the most part, we're talking about entities that aren't even in our density. They need to go through a portal to get into density. Now, bear in mind, they're not supposed to have portals. Okay? They're not supposed to have portals. The very fact that the reptoids have brought portals to Earth so that they could bring entities from outside of Earth through the Van Allen belts into the restricted area that was only supposed to have so many of those bastards here, they went and violated that. And because of that, our Creator has decided that we get to be born and get to wake up and get to do the job of removing not only the humans, our brethren that are preying on our children like cannibals and what have you, the pedophiles. This is not just a war against pedophiles. No, this is a war against the very entities that created the human hybrids that populate the earth today. And when I say war, I mean war like a surgeon when they're going in to remove cancer from a body, if you want to call that a war. So the bottom line is that's happening. It's happening without malice, without prejudice. Well, it's happening with extreme prejudice, but at the same time, there will be no mercy because certain entities, there will be no compassion. That's not our job. We are like machines when it comes to this job because we were put here to do this. It's not our job to decide whether or not it's moral or whether or not one entity is guilty or one entity should survive. No, our job is to completely remove, like I said, not just the human pedophiles, and again, we'll have compassion for them, but all fourth density entities and beyond that come here through those portals that are involved with that hybridization process, the control process, the mining of gold, or any of that slavery, any of the influence. So yes, this of course means a complete removal of any of their influence, which you could consider anything Masonic, etc. Well, that's all irrelevant. Some kind of weird stuff going on. Looks like I'm still recording though, so I'm not going to worry about it. Oh, I see. They're lighting it up with red to show me that this is the channel I'm supposed to be on. That's wild. Okay, great. Okay, fine. Skype got smart. Lovely. All right, the Jedi business. Obviously, I said that if you send me an email, you can get a free book. But at the same time, I said that I'll provide healing, and I told you how to do that. But if you are interested in basically allowing us to harness your soul, your astral potential, if you would just commit and say that I want to be part of this. Now, of course, I expect everybody that's involved to understand that Jesus is the ultimate. Obviously, we're working for Source, but Jesus is our commander. Now, of course, we have generals, etc., what have you, guys that are in charge. But the bottom line is, when it comes to doing battle with demons, there is only one entity in the universe that basically has the job to not only give our wishes upwards to Source, and to facilitate what we wish to manifest, but also to help us in times of need. That's his job. This has nothing to do with a man-made religion, a book, or some governor or a emperor named Constantine, or Rome, or any of that nature. We're talking something much, much older, as old as creation itself. And of course, so when you become a Jedi, I will explain a little bit to you after reading and hearing enough of the shows and basically talking to other people who have done it, and your inner gut will tell you, your soul will tell you, your own desire to become a service to others and help the universe and be part of this effort is going to draw you to our effort like moths to a flame. And as we get stronger, more and more people will choose to do this. But basically, you have to have a relationship with Jesus, because he's the one you are asking if you can even do this. You say, please let me be a warrior. And then, as with all manifesting, which is creating reality, you say, thank you for letting me be a warrior. It's just like when you pray. You don't say, oh, don't let me get in a car crash today. You say, thank you for making sure that nothing bad happens to me, because I know I'm safe because you're making it happen. This is how manifesting works. You know it's going to happen. So once you have done that, and you tell me that you have done that, of course, I'll send you an email first that basically spells this all out. And it'll also tell you to send me a photograph. There's that photograph thing. Now, a lot of people are paranoid to think, what am I going to do with a photograph? Once again, if you haven't heard, this is just how things work. Your face is a roadmap to your soul. It's just like saying, that's why I got to see no sunglasses. I got to see your eyes, because that's how I connect to you. And once I know your name and I see your face, that's it. You are a unique soul in the universe, and I can connect to you no matter how old you are. If you're afraid to send me a picture when you were 20 years younger so I can't recognize you. Just make sure I can see your eyes, because time doesn't matter. You can send me a baby picture and I can still do it, although I'd rather not have a baby picture. I like to have somebody that's got a little development going on. But seriously, that's why I have you send me a photo. And the same thing works for healing, because it allows me to basically connect right to you, speed of light. Okay? We can all do this. And you should all want to do this. And anyone that says it's evil, just know some person trying to have a inquisition or something, you tell them, we should seek spiritual gifts, and these are spiritual gifts, and we should do as Jesus did and do even better because he's gone and told us to do it. That's really all we need to know, and you will know a tree by the fruit it bears. So obviously, if you're healing in Jesus' name. That's why we do everything in Jesus' name. And Jesus backs us up. And this time around, we're not like the Christians in Rome getting slaughtered. No, this time they can't touch us. I tell you, some of these people, they connect to me, they go, oh, I'm scared. Yes, if you connect to me, there's a good chance you might have some guys, funny-looking people show up and start following you around. But guess what? They're afraid of you. That's why they're following you. Their job is to manage us, not to stop us, just to keep an eye on us and try to know what we're doing. They can't stop us, and it's already too late. And you just know that those ones that are left watching over us, they're nobody. Their bosses are already booking it out of town, and they've been booking it out of town for a long time. That's why they invented cryptocurrency, because they're trying to figure out a way to take their money with them. And those are just the humans. So yes, those of you that have become Jedi, you know what I'm talking about. You may not remember anything, but you do know when you don't sleep right. You do know when you get all sweaty in bed. You do know when you just wake up sore. You can't figure out why. Well, guys, I don't know why I'm all of a sudden had my ass kicked. I had to go to the chiropractor today. It was really bad. It was very, very painful, and it got so bad. It's 1 year today since I've had a chiropractic adjustment. I finally went in, but guess what? This wasn't even the usual. This was all kinds of extra stuff, like somebody stabbed me in the back. It was just like that. They didn't just stab me. They sort of moved it around a little bit, okay? This was like a big old slice, like maybe somebody got a damn hatchet in my back or something of this nature. Axe. One of you guys, maybe it was one of you guys, Jedi guys, my damn berserker guys, you had an accident with your axe. Is probably why it hurts. It's like one of you probably got me. Well, anyway, yes, I'm feeling a little bit better, but I know some of you have reported that you've been really sore and kind of wondering what the hell's been going on for the last couple of days. And yes, it's been going on, but should we be surprised? You know, I mean, of course, we're kicking them. We're kicking ass on every front. Yes, the surface humans are waking up, and the enemy is being defeated and running, and we are hurting them and doing everything we can in the astral. And the efforts that we've made in the astral, of course, had a major role in everything happening. And mostly, it really ties together because you need to understand, all of us are part of this drama that's going on. And it's very important that normal humans first accept the reality that this is actually happening. And then they need to have the desire to want to do something about it. And this is the first step, and it's so important because that's when you stop thinking about yourself and you start thinking about others. Now, the enemy, of course, is doing everything they can to make you think about yourself. COVID, it's going to get you. It's going to kill you. Somebody's going to spit on you and sneeze on you, and you're going to die, and it's going to be horrible. Better wear your mask. We're going to give you a shot. That's fear, but it's fear of death. It's fear of your own death. And they're using that against us. It's not going to work. And of course, everything we do is intended to shut them down before they can implement any of their genocidal methods, which they're obviously doing. Well, I just want to say that it's a wonderful thing to see because I was pessimistic. I knew that we would win, but at the same time, I knew we would lose many to the enemy because of selfishness and greed. But if everybody decides that helping children is more important than worrying about getting sick or who knows where it can lead, that's when it really happens. And of course, 100 monkeys, we don't need everybody to do it. Obviously, the more that do it, the faster it happens. The faster this reality manifests, the faster it affects even more people, and the faster change can occur. So, every one of you that are putting out memes, creating content, creating groups, talking to people, spreading the word, sharing the book, becoming a Jedi, dedicating your life, losing the fear that your family or your friends might ridicule you because you've got some crazy ideas. Our crazy ideas aren't so crazy anymore. None of it is. Reality is changing. We're driving it. And here's the thing. This power, this change that we see happening, this chaos, it works in our favor. It allows us to manifest even faster and stronger. And what's most important, which has always been the most important number one thing, of course, is that you not be selfish, that you not think of yourself, that you use this power for others. This is your test. This is the last test you're going to get. It's almost over. It's time to get on the boat, get on the train, all aboard. We're getting out of here. We need to take everyone with us as much as we can. And if we do a good job, we can get as many people as possible. We can win this. We can get everybody. We may not get everybody, but we're going to try and we're going to hope and we're going to know that we can. We're watching it happen. We're watching masses of people suddenly lose that selfishness and focus on something more important than themselves. An unknown number of children being tortured. Surely we have our magic now. So it's all very crazy. It's very humbling. It's all very exciting. I want to remind everybody that this path we're on is like a roller coaster. And you know that we're going places that are very difficult to even imagine at this time. And we're going to have highs and we're going to have lows. And the closer we get to our destination, the greater the extremes will be. So it's very important that you be aware of this, because you need to understand that when you are allowing to have your life dedicated to the cause, suddenly you are on a path that flows and can take you in different directions that may not be the directions you would expect that you would want to go to, but they will take you to places where you will either learn, touch someone else, do something to further the cause. You will make a connection. You will network. Our networks are becoming stronger. They're becoming more important. They're happening at a faster rate. And it's all for a reason. There is no simple coincidence happening from this point on. But at the same time, again, the hardest lessons, and I know I'm certainly guilty of this, and I will do my best to control it, is it's very important that we control our ego. We need to know that we do not control this. Well, we do control our destiny. We do control reality, but at the same time, we do it in the service of Source, in the service of Christ, through Christ. And we have to understand that we do this for the benefit of others, always, number one, first priority. And we can be satisfied in knowing that when we serve others, we will be blessed and we will be given what we need, and we will be happy and we will be satisfied. And I'm sure the gifts that we have waiting for us, or the pride of the completion of what we're doing right now, will far outweigh any potential treasure that you could possibly wish for. So in other words, the more power you gain, the more important it is that you become modest and calm and be thankful for the gift and not abuse the gift, and certainly don't turn it into a business. And I think that at the same time, when you are stricken with negative behavior by others or seemingly bad things happening to you, please understand that we have very strong negative powers working against us, and that the trials that we are put through are intended to make us stronger, and basically, in the end, will always serve our mission. So we should be flattered that the enemy has chosen to focus on any one of us, because they've recognized us for something that we should all endeavor to be recognized for, and that is standing up to the enemy and being part of the force and the army and the historical movement that inevitably would come to defeat an evil that has been here for so long. So, again, I'm just going to tell you, expect to do great things. Do not expect to be loved for it or thanked for it, but at the same time, don't let it go to your head. Stay calm, stay modest. It's going to be very, very important that all of us maintain a modesty and a ability to not become excited, because trust me, money, riches, wealth, extravagance, opulence, decadence, all of this lays in front of us. It's very intoxicating, and those people that have never experienced it will struggle to deal with it. But it's very important that we do that, because where we're going is where all the money is. It's where all the power is. And they will use all that money and all that power to try to dissuade us from our mission. And even when we get there, when we complete the mission and we do save the earth and we set it back to where it should be as humans, we need to not let that go to our heads once again, and we need to be thankful to even have a role and not think that we were, well, we're not gods, okay? We're servants. We need to remember that we're servants. It's very, very important. And by the same token, once again, we are going to go through more shit. We are not done. Especially those of you that are Jedi, you got to deal with a lot of crap. We're not done. It'll probably continue for a long time, and it will get much worse. When I say worse, I mean worse for our enemies. But psychologically speaking, it could be very violent. But as a human, as a three-dimensional or third density entity, we also have to deal with our fellow third density entities and the resistance that we might receive, or the complacency, or the, well, drama. They will try to make our life miserable, and it will be cumbersome. So we need to expect that. And again, as I said, if you are a Jedi, you're going to have to deal with guys during the night and guys during the day. All right? It's a tough life, okay? But we get to save the universe. We get to be the heroes. It's pretty exciting. So, I know a lot of people enjoy hearing about the latest. And of course, I always use words like exponential, and I try to get people to understand what that means. But as we go, basically what that means, as we go down from 0.0 to 0.1, down the graph, our rise in power increases faster and faster and faster. It was slow, very slow 7 years ago. It's very fast right now. It's happening very fast. It's amazing to see. And again, I credit all of you. But again, this is just like a nuclear reaction, splitting the atom. the increase in the number of people getting involved. We're seeing it happen. As more of you work harder, there will become more of you working harder. And again, I will ask you to work harder. Now, Kathleen, you did everything on a phone, I understand, which is pretty incredible. Somebody get that woman a computer. Seriously, if you have any skills whatsoever, use them. I've been doing interviews all over the place. And of course, on the interview, I always tell people, email me, I'll send you a book. I know a lot of people don't like to read, but I'm very impressed by the number of people that actually are reading it. I'm seeing people all over the world writing blogs. I got one from Greece the other day. I want to say thank you to the person that are out there listening. Of course, it was written in Greek, but they wrote a big, long thing about child trafficking and pedophilia. Of course, they included my video. But to have us linked with this whole issue of human trafficking and child trafficking is incredible progress, because they're taking us seriously. We have the answers. We're the only ones that have the answers. We have the ability, the knowledge, and the focus to take humanity right to where it needs to go to solve all the problems that it's had for millennia. And more people are beginning to realize this because of the mutual, natural, human desire to prevent children from being tortured. So we're going to ride that issue all the way to the salvation of the entire humanity. And that should make sense. Obviously, it's about time humanity finally banded together and defeated those entities that are devouring our children once and for all. And it doesn't matter that they bred us and created us for that purpose. It doesn't matter. We have reached the point in our existence to where it's time for us to stop that, and not only stop that, but remove them from existence for all time. And that may sound like genocide, but guess what? That's what the Creator wanted. That's what the Creator wants. They have violated a treaty with the Creator by basically using portals to increase their numbers so that they could torture even more humans, such as they're doing right now under the Getty. And this is why we do what we do. Anyway, I will say that I'm very concerned with this whole notion. The enemy is trying to destroy evidence and trying to destroy what they have. But I also believe that the humans may be able to do this. But if they have taken so much of our wealth and our resources for so long and hidden it down there, I think it's important that we do our best to retrieve it, as well as the technology that they have down there also, which they could be trying to destroy because they don't think that we're able to use it in a responsible way. But if we want to repair the damage that's been done to the surface of the earth, like Fukushima, etc., it's very important that we are able to do this. That's why it's very important that we continue to do what we're doing. We do it even more, and we get more people to do exactly what we're doing. When someone says, how can I help? You say, do what I am doing. You tell them what you are doing, because whatever it was that you did attracted them to you. So you repeat that process. We are a virus. We are the virus. Screw COVID. Okay? They need to be afraid of us, not us being afraid of COVID. All right? And we need to move even faster, not only to save the children even sooner, but to stop them from destroying evidence, to stop them from destroying what's rightfully ours, and to help us to beat them to the escape. Do we want them to escape? Does it matter? Let me just put it this way. If every reptoid and gray and an Anunnaki, whatever malevolent critter is alive on this earth in whatever density, our job, our directive, our mandate is to eliminate them. Them, not humans, them. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but the dark spirits, the dark energies, the dark powers that hide in the darkness. Those are the ones we fight. Those are the ones we slaughter. We don't send them to the light. We send them into the pit. We destroy their individuality. We ruin them. We obliterate them. We use everything we have. We are butchers. If you're a Jedi, you know what I'm talking about. If you have any cognizance of what you're involved in, you'll know. We are like a whirlwind of destruction. And of course, again, the enemy that we're fighting is a very powerful entity, and they are extremely afraid of us. And believe me, even though we seem to be insignificant and we seem to be somewhat obscure and unknown, at the same time, the enemy, who is also relatively small in size compared to the great masses that inhabit this earth, they are very much afraid of us, and they very much know who we are, and they very much know what's coming for them, and they know that we are the ones doing it to them. Trust me, they know my name. They also know they can't do anything to stop me. And if you become one of us, they can't do anything to you. So if you wake up a little bit sore in the morning because you were slaying them and your hatchet arm is a little on the sore side, and maybe one of your buddies hit you in the back with a hatchet while he was chopping away, these things happen, okay? But you know what? It's funny because you get used to it. I know a lot of people that I recruit, it usually starts right away. They feel sore. They wonder what happened. They didn't sleep right. They're getting up in the middle of the night at weird times. You know what? If you're not having a good battle, maybe you just want to wake up and deal with it. I was getting stabbed in the leg the other day, and I didn't want to deal with it. I just woke up. I said, screw this. Anyway, that goes away. You get used to it. Most of you don't remember anything. Most of you don't even feel sore afterwards. I know a lot of you are feeling sore right now, but we're fighting extra hard. It's really hot and heavy right now. I think we're getting close, people. It may get harder. I don't know. I'm glad I found a chiropractor. It helped keep me in shape. I feel a hell of a lot better. All right. So once again, I'm just going to remind you, first of all, if you're new to all this and you've been trying to learn everything you can about the Getty movement, again, the best thing you can do is probably read my book, because that's what I wrote it for. And yes, it does have a whole bunch of my life experience from when I was born all the way up till whatever, 12 years ago or so. But the only reason I did that is so that you'll understand that I'm not some nut that just came out of nowhere. I actually did all these things. Okay? And it is important that we have sometimes certain experiences to point us in certain directions so that we can connect certain dots. And maybe I am the only one in the world that has any connection to this business, and I may be the only human on earth responsible for bringing down the enemy, because I'm the only one attacking the one weak spot that we can crush the enemy with. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because it says right there in the protocols, it only takes one motivated genius to destroy thousands of years of planning. But we're not just destroying thousands of years of planning, we're setting back the enemy 25 million years. And we are eliminating them from existence. And this needs to be done because the Creator put us here on earth to do just that. And trust me, this is not just for California. This is not just for America. This is not just for the planet Earth. This is for the entire universe, for all time. And that's why we're so strong, because we have everybody that came before us, We have everybody ahead of us that hasn't even bothered to come here yet, and they're all watching us do this thing right now. This is prime time. This is it. So welcome to the show. And there's plenty of time to get involved if you want to, and we hope that you will, because that is a good indicator of our success, is the very fact that more people are joining us, because that's our number one job, service to others, to convince other people that the way to salvation and the way to saving this planet is by going into a system that is political, social, psychological, that is based on service to others. We're going to drop the greedy lifestyle. Okay? All right, we've gone 55 minutes. We're going to take a break, and for the sake of the recording, we may remove that later. I do want to talk about China and World War III. We'll probably continue with that after that, because there are significant effects. There are things that are going on in the world, and of course I wanted to focus first on the Getty mission. And of course I want to remind people also, if you do want to help us, I know thousands and thousands of people have gotten the book, and if you feel like you want to send me $7, whatever I normally charge for the book, you can. It'll help. It helps, okay? It helps keep me alive and pays the bills. And yeah, we are running a radio station and all that, but at the same time, this is not a business. So if you don't, I mean, you know, I'm just really impressed that so many of you are involved. And again, if you do need healing, of course, that's free, okay? And I know a lot of people donate after they receive healing, and I suppose that's natural, but whatever. They're miracles, okay? Miracles are free, all right? We don't put a price tag on that stuff. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and go to a break. I'll see you on the flip side. Okay, everybody. I wanted to do that because I'm trying to make it easier for editing, but I have to be careful sometimes. Yeah, we're all getting banned. Obviously, I've been banned. Or they wouldn't be doing that. This is a badge of honor. If you're being attacked, and of course that's part of the roller coaster is being attacked. This is the war. We're being attacked. My God, I got a big old. Well, I'm not even going to talk about my condition, but you know what I mean. We're all getting attacked. We're all getting beat up, but that's part of the job. It's part of the territory. We're being very successful at what we're doing. Now, that was the first part of the show. Now I'm going to continue. I want to tell you a little bit more about what's going on with China, because of course I told you big stuff is happening. And whether you like it or not, you need to kind of pay attention to this, because in your 3D world, it's a big part of what is coming. Now, I'll start with the flooding and what have you, the typhoons. Certainly, that's an ongoing thing. And yes, the food situation is worse. It's getting dire. Pork is now up 90%, and people are breaking down. Moral decay is happening. They're starting to steal food. It's going to get very bad, and of course this is a very bad display for what the Communist Party has done to a once moral people. It's turned them into selfish animals willing to fight for the carcass of another animal because they're so afraid that they're going to starve. It's not exactly what you want to have your people doing if you're trying to suggest that you are a superior society. But that's just a part of it. So, as far as the Three Gorges Dam is concerned, since the last show, it would appear that a large chunk of concrete has fallen off the face of the dam and can be seen at the bottom of it. I suspect that this is a portion of one of the slots where they're using lots of water flowing through. I said that you can't do that. You can't keep having that much water flowing through the spillways without expecting it to eventually start to give away. That's starting to happen. But what appears to be even a higher possibility right now is that there are many dams above the Three Gorges Dam, many tributaries, many large rivers that feed into the Yangtze. Several of these have very large dams. Now, if any one of those were to fail, it would cause a domino effect which would take out everything down the way from it because of pressure. You have to understand that the pressure that the dam is dealing with right now is already at a very critical point. Any extreme increase in that pressure will obliterate it. Now, there is a very strong possibility that this could happen because there are earthquakes, and as we know, earthquakes can be caused by us, but there have been several earthquakes, and interestingly enough, many of them seem to be close to the surface as opposed to deep in the earth. So a relatively small earthquake, relatively close to the surface, if it happens in the right place and it happens enough number of times, can be devastating to a dike or a weak dam that's under a lot of pressure. And this appears to be happening. Now, a couple statistics that I want to share with you. And again, I'm going to paraphrase because I don't have these statistics in front of me, so if I get the number off by a little bit or something, I apologize in advance. That's one of the things about live radio. Unfortunately, I could say something stupid. I mean, meaning I can misplace a word and say the wrong thing. I hope people understand that I think you know what I meant or whatever, but I suppose I should have to put the correct word flashing up on the screen when I do it, but come on now. It's not that easy. I don't have production staff to do this stuff for me. But here's the thing. The Yangtze River, of course, is really big. And essentially it has what they call the Yangtze River Valley, which is the arable land and the area around it that is essentially mountain, somewhere nearby this river. Now, pretty much most of the food in China comes from this area. Now, obviously, that's not a good thing if it's all underwater, like it is now. The other thing is that most of the technology, most of the industry comes from this area. Now, if you look at the amount overall of industry on Earth, a good portion of that is being done in China. China has become the factory for everybody else, and all these companies have moved their industry to China. A lot of the reason for this is not just because of cheap labor, but it's also because of cheap electricity from places like the Three Gorges Dam. Now, what that means is that if you take all of that industry that's in China, of course it's built all over the place, but a good portion of it, something like 15%, is in that Yangtze River Valley. Now, I know these numbers could be actually a little bit higher, the amount of manufacturing that China actually does make up for, at least as far as the Earth is concerned. So they could be higher, but the point is there's no way that you can flood that entire region without affecting the entire economy of Earth, because such a large portion of the production of Earth depends on this one place. So, when there is no rice in China because of the floods, certainly rice grown somewhere else becomes more valuable. We're seeing this happen right now. The Chinese government made a deal with Donald Trump not too long ago. And the deal was basically that the Chinese would buy a certain amount of American goods to balance the amount of goods that the Americans were buying from China. Something like $1.5 billion, something like this. Well, needless to say, this particular deal had a expiration date. It was like a 5-year deal or something of this nature. Obviously, Trump's still president, but the point is that the Chinese didn't buy anything. They were getting close to the end of the deal without having fulfilled any portion of their end of the deal by actually purchasing any American goods. Well, needless to say, thankfully, that's starting to change. What are they buying? They're buying corn, as much of it as they can get, probably GMO from Monsanto. They're buying soybeans to make their tofu. They should be buying formula for their babies. Oh, darn it. My ice is melting in my tea. Probably because it's hot here. Oh, it's 90 degrees. That would explain it. Durr. My God. Maybe I need to turn up the air or something. Probably what it is. All right, anyway. So this is all bad news. Now, what else can I tell you about these guys? There are bigger issues, of course. Well, I wouldn't say they're bigger issues. Obviously, people dying of starvation and being flooded, millions and millions of people dying. This is coming. But this manufacturing that's going on in the Yangtze, those foreign countries are pulling their manufacturing out. And of course, there is what they call a decoupling going on. Countries are decoupling from China at an astounding rate. As I mentioned, Japan is providing a cash incentive to Japanese corporations to relocate somewhere else, and they're using a major portion of their national fund to do this. So right now, all economic growth, which at one time was a juggernaut, the Chinese miracle, has stopped. It's going into reverse. We're seeing things like Xi Jinping declaring himself emperor for life. We're seeing him compare himself to Mao. He has basically set up an expiration date for his presidency that coincides with the number of years that Mao was emperor, leader, president, and that, of course, ended when he died. So by suggesting that his presidency would also end when he reached the same age as Mao, is purposefully drawing a parallel between himself and Mao because he wants to be able to influence and control the direction of his country, the country, after he is dead, after he is gone, much as the same way as Mao Zedong did after he died. He would like his name to be as important or revered as Mao. Well, we know how that's going to end. Now, I should mention something else I think that's extremely important, especially for the Americans listening, and that is all of this booming expansion and growth and building that's been going on in China. You think they paid for that with American dollars that they got from selling us goods? No. They got that from bonds. They sold us bonds. They said, we are building this thing, and we need this money. We would like you to sell bonds to people who would like to invest in China. Well, guess what? Those bonds now are about $1.67 trillion. Trillion, that's a big amount of money. Well, I mean, obviously, it's not like the 10 trillion or whatever that they shipped off to Africa. That was our money, of course. But the point is, those bonds at $1.6 trillion outweigh the amount of money that the United States owes to China. When our government sold them bonds, government bonds. Well, so what does that mean? That means that they don't own us. You've been getting that propaganda from the media. We'll talk about that, hopefully. And we own them. If we handed them our paper in exchange for their paper, they would still owe us by a relatively large margin. So, why don't we even know about this? Well, propaganda. Now, here's the thing. The Chinese haven't made any effort to pay off those bonds. And you know what? The United States, we pay something like 200-something million. I'm not sure if it's every month or every year or whatever, but it's a huge amount of money that we pay in interest on the bonds that China has on us. We pay them interest on the bonds that they hold over us, but do they pay interest? No, never, ever, ever. They have never paid back any American for any interest that they have put into any projects in China. They have very weird attitudes about that stuff. So basically, after all these years, thanks to the mobster Nixon, that's coming to an end. And I'll tell you something. When I see Mike Pompeo standing up there and he's got that big old grin and big old smile because he knows what's coming, I have to tell you, even though he and Trump and the rest of them are truly the enemies, they are using this opportunity to shine, and I'm not begrudging them that because they are shining right now. And Trump has to pull something off quick to save his butt. And here's the thing. All those companies that are moving out of China right now, not just American ones, but the rest of the world that are there, they need a certain amount of time. Only so many of them have gotten out. And the transition process for them to relocate their employees and their operations and their assets, they can't do it in a day. It takes them a little bit of time. So what's going on is that we're having predictions of war with China within a year, they say. You know, why are they saying that? It's because they're trying to give these businesses the opportunity to get out of there. So that's really what's going on with that. I don't really want to say too much more about that because it's obviously we are talking about a situation where nobody's going to come out on top. Certainly a genocide is a bad thing. But at the same time, like I said, I do expect that Trump will try to expedite the progress of this thing, and he certainly has the power to do so on many different fronts. And of course, militaries like to prepare as much as possible, but you know, in this particular situation, it's going to be pretty rough on the Chinese. And as I've said, we all know the quality of the stuff they built. It's not too good. It's like when you buy a badly made Chinese wrench and it breaks as opposed to something made by Strap-on or whatever, Craftsman. You know what I'm talking about. And the same thing applies to all of their military vehicles. You know that this corruption and this cutting of quality and cutting corners and skimming and providing substandard materials, it is pervasive in every level of everything done in that country, and the military is no exception. And when the time comes, you're going to see that everything that they have is going to fail in a spectacular way. I'm not going to say that a Chinese bullet doesn't kill you just as dead as an American bullet, but the point is that this is, like I said, an enemy that can't even provide toilet paper. They're going to have no rice. And those people that are telling you that they're going to attack Taiwan because they have no rice and they're going to be starved, and because they're starving that somehow they're going to be stronger and more motivated, that's a possibility. But don't kid yourself. If they're starving, they're not going to have that much calories to burn when it comes to fighting. And remember, we're already talking about somebody that does not have the moral fortitude, that isn't fake and put there by some sort of Bolshevist, Marxist, ridiculous ideology. It's going to be fatal. And like I said, the Soviet Union only lasted for 70 years roughly. China's due. This Communist Party is due. And hopefully, when the Chinese Communist Party is gone, we will also have completed our mission, and we don't need to see massive genocide. That's what we can certainly wish for. So we obviously would like the typhoons to stop. We'd obviously hope that the dam doesn't break and flood and destroy everything. But you know, you got to remember. Oh, RD was trying to join me. Sorry, RD. You got to remember that these changes that we're having are going to be dramatic. Like, for instance, cell phone production. There's going to be no more cell phones made in China. That stuff is moving out. Why? Because every single one of those devices is compromised. It's listening to you. It's taking all your data. The Chinese cell phone manufacturers have broken the Android security devices that were put in place and are basically allowing all of your personal data and everything that they are not supposed to have access to funnels directly back to huge computers owned by the Chinese Communist Party. That is a real thing that is being corrected, and that does not even address the issue of every single motherboard in all the computers out there and all the other devices that hook up to the internet that we take for granted. So in other words, the future is going to be very different than it is now. And if you are connected and expecting or thinking that somehow it's going to be more negative, well, it's part of the growing pains. Oh, there's RD. I'm going to try to bring his butt in here, even though he said he's going to go eat dinner. I'm sure RD's talking about... RD's one of those few people that always mentions when he's getting an ass kicked. He goes, oh, is that why I've been getting my ass kicked last week? Oh, damn, what the... Yeah. It's been pretty... I had this night the other day, and I was sweating again and just freezing and sweating and all this stuff going on. It was like, some crazy crap. I knew something was going on, but these back spasms or whatever the hell it was, it's like having shingles or something in the middle of your back. But no, it's not that. It's just, damn. I think one of the guys slipped and smacked their hatchet into my back, right below the shoulder blade right there, like, oops. You know what I mean? Yeah, RD, I'm bringing you in here. You can talk. It's whoever was standing to my left, I think you slipped and hit me in the back with your hatchet, because I know damn well it wasn't coming from the front. It had to come from if it was hitting me in the back, it had to be one of my guys. Huh, RD?
The only thing, I mentioned it in your comment on Facebook. I come out of it knowing I don't want to know because it's pretty nasty. But one thing I always get is a sense of direction, like a compass. And it used to be southish. And for the past couple months, especially this last month, it's been real east. I don't know what you want to make of that, but I don't come out of it with any hope to remember details other than, you don't want to know. But I do wonder where. And all I ever get is sort of a, look in this direction kind of thing. Well,
again, we just got to go with the flow, right? It's just got to go where it takes you.
Yeah, listen, I feel like I'm like, 3D numb. Like, 60, 70% of the time, I don't feel like I'm really here. So, and that's getting exponential over the past couple of weeks, especially this last week. And
I'm sorry. I thought I'd throw out the motorcycle story that today, like this thing on one of these weird things. Okay, I got to share this with you. Okay, I'm going down the 10 freeway, which is a relatively large freeway, and traffic's going very slow. And I'm not driving, there's someone else is driving, but I'm in the passenger seat, and I see this motorcycle rider, and he's walking along the median, and this is in the slow lane, mind you, and we're all going slow, and I'm like, hey, do you need a ride? He looked like he had a long way to go. I'm like, hey, you want to ride to the next off-ramp or whatever? And he said, no, I'm going to L.A., whatever, I got to get my bike. I'm like, huh? Where's your bike? It's over there. And he points across the freeway, and there's this bike laying in the freeway, and it's like 50 yards or so away, but it's in like the number 2 lane, not the fast lane, but the number 2 lane. And it's laying down in the freeway. But here's the thing. He was behind, as traffic goes, he was behind it, way behind it, walking up to it. Now, if you laid down your bike in the freeway on that lane, the closest thing to him was like the center divider. You wouldn't go off the freeway and then walk way, way down the freeway and leave your bike in the middle of the freeway. It was it was weird. All right. It was so weird that when it happened, it made so little sense that I thought, what, is this guy a ghost? Is he dead? Is that really a human there? It's like, it didn't make any sense. Why was he so far away from this damn bike? You know what I'm saying? Laid down in the middle of the damn freeway.
Yeah, like, did somebody else see him besides me?
I know exactly. Well, I know they did because he started walking across the freeway to go pick up his bike, but it just didn't make any sense. I thought he must have lost something picked up. It's just hard to say. You know what I mean? If you ever rode a motorcycle, you've seen motorcycle wrecks. You don't just lay your bike down and then go take a jog in the wrong direction like that with your bike in the middle of the free, like lane, right in the flat in the middle of the damn number 2 lane. It was like, what the hell? Anyway, that was weird. But then today, here's the thing. More and more weird stuff has been going on. Weird stuff. Seeing cars broke down. Fires. There's a big, huge fire on the hillside behind me. This is not the first one. Stuff's happening. And like I said, it seems like chaos has been unleashed. Okay? They're doing their best right now. And the more that we gain and the more power we're getting, the more other people are experiencing calamity. Okay? So it's a part of the whole process, and just to observe it happening, it's certainly very interesting to say the least. You have any calamities going on up where you are there, RD?
Not to speak of. Corn's
No
coming
fires.
in real good. Huh? Well,
Corn's coming in? Yeah.
There's been a couple smaller fires. It hasn't been too bad this year so far.
So far, knock on wood.
But it's been really hot. We've had some hot weather. I mean, it's little AC unit I bought for the shop, barely makes it. So tonight's a little better. It kind of cooled down a little bit. Other than that, it's, like I say, sleep. I don't know how to describe my sleep's changed over the past month or two, but this past few weeks, it's totally different. I mean, you had a really good show and explained it all. I got nothing to add other than I see tonight's show as a lot of really good confirmation on what I'm feeling and seeing where it's going, and what me and others have been working on in one way or another. It was
more people are being fired up, and that's great, and that's exactly what we want. But at the same time, remember that the way you feel, the fire under you right now to get this job done, and the feelings that you feel when you see it happening, you need to get other people to do it too.
Yeah,
and you got to do it more. You got to do it more.
I'm seeing it online, especially on Twitter. It's starting to, we're getting their attention really good.
My Twitter's starting to blow up. I'll just mention that now.
What's that?
My Twitter's starting to blow up. Twitter doesn't normally, it doesn't move that fast.
Yeah, but I take the time.
I've gone up 100 people at least, okay, just in the last day on Twitter, which is pretty good, right?
I'm saying I pay attention to the profiles, and it's people that I've seen in the past were like, pretty mega kega pro Trump, and they're starting to get on the
Save the Children.
Getty. Well, from the Save the Children to the Getty.
Yeah, save our children. Save the children under the Getty.
Yeah, well, I see somebody post the other one, then I reply, how to your hashtag with an arrow pointing to Occupy the Getty and our hashtag. So that's what I've been doing, and it's been getting some pretty good attention. So, yeah. Well,
people want answers, right? They're
yes,
over,
they do.
They're over the rhetoric.
Yeah, at least now they're noticing and asking questions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and they're starting. It's been going on and that's the thing. People are lemmings. They need that peer pressure. They fold under pressure, and it's becoming hip. Okay, that's the thing. We're becoming hip right now.
Yeah. Well, look at you. You had one longtime detractor that, just made my name famous. I mean, I think he had other intentions, but thank you very much. But I'm getting I'm really excited over what I'm seeing. I'm not getting online as much as I used to. Like I say, I'm, concentrating on keeping the home in order and whatever I'm up to somewhere else, because it's really, really, really picked up in the past week or two.
Well, yeah, you have to keep your home in order, certainly, and the tensions and strife that is going to happen on that front are obviously part of this roller coaster thing that we're describing. But at the same time, I think that it all works out and works out for the best. But again, you got to do your best to focus on the real issue here, which is the mission. And if it wasn't for the mission, that stress wouldn't probably be there. So, and the more that stress is there, the more you know that you are doing the right thing, because they wouldn't be giving you that stress if you weren't.
It's going really good because I've got that, the garden is growing fantastic, and, I can walk around barefoot all day, and it doesn't take very long at all to get over it and on with it. So, yeah, I got a lot of support in that sense. So not too many complaints other than just, 3D numbness.
Yeah, well, it's the pain issue on the 3D is certainly something that lets you know that we're being active on the 4D. Let's just put it that way, right? That's our affirmation.
Like rode hard and put up wet. I mean, just like you just got back from some kind of serious boot camp.
Something earlier, right?
Yeah,
it's all good. It's all good. It's good to know. Oh,
yeah. I don't take any of it as negative. It's all, like I say, tonight's show was for me a really great confirmation of what I've been feeling, and that's about all I have to contribute.
Well, I gotta bring I'll bring who in here real quick, Bobby, just because of him, just because we gotta have our Bob time.
Okay, no problem. I'll hang in till the show's over.
Hang in, whatever. I'm not gonna be here much longer. Here's just wondering if we're going out tonight. But I'm going to try to get out tonight. But again, things are getting crazy out there because of stupid games going stuff. I don't want to really talk about the 3D. I'm kind of over it. But the the magic right now is really, really strong, and it can be work against you, or it can work for you. It's up to you. All right. What do you have to say, Bob?
Well, first of all, great show, good information. And I've been watching other spiritual people all talking about ascension, and everybody is responsible for their own soul. And of course, you want to be service to other people, but when it comes down to it, if these, I call them COVIDiot fruit flies.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because all of a sudden I go back to my 10th grade biology, where we did the fruit fly, where you put the fruit flies in a glass jar and you tighten up the top, and then you come back a couple days later and you
like torture.
You open up the top and they don't fly out. So I'm saying that we're going to have masks forever.
Oh, dude.
These
all right, let's not come on, let's torture. Okay, let's not those are torture experiments, man. Come on. Yeah. All right, forget these masks forever. Again, let me just remind you and bring us back to the beginning of the show in case whatever. And the bottom line here is, it doesn't matter what they do, we're doing what we do as fast as possible because we're stopping it. Okay, so all this COVID is such a non-issue, and the mask crap, it's like it's so small compared to what we're doing to them right now. It really doesn't matter. So, and that's what we're talking about tonight, is how excited we are that we're kicking their ass so badly.
Right. And supposedly there was some peace in the Mideast. I know that's 3D.
3D what?
But, I guess Trump.
Thing?
Yeah, no, they with the United Arab Republic meeting, United Arab
the UAE is trying to increase their relationship with Israel. Yeah. We're not getting into geopolitics that much because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the Muslim world. Yes, obviously a lot of this has to do with China. Okay, once again, this is hard for people to understand, but it does cause a chain reaction. And let me just go down that a little bit. Obviously, Pakistan right now is a supreme enemy of India, and they're very closely aligned with China for good, bad, or bad. This affects their relationship with other Muslim countries, and they're trying to forge a relationship with Iran, which is very strong. The Iran-China relationship is very strong. but then they're also trying to hook up Turkey. Now, all of these countries have certain similarities. For instance, they don't get along with their neighbors. They don't get along with the people on the other side of the Gulf. And they have issues like with Saudi Arabia, for instance. Saudi Arabia withheld a $1 billion loan to Pakistan. That's not small change. Okay. Obviously, they had to have help with that. The other countries, these alignment with Israel, this is what the players are doing right before it happens. The Russia connection, what Erdogan does, it's really confusing right now, because if the only one that's really strong in this place right now is Iran. Okay, and but by the same token, it's hard for me to describe. In other words, it's like, what's our criteria here? Who's the closest to China? Because ultimately that's the enemy. So it's like, who's on China's side? Which one's going to go where? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's going to determine who's on our side.
But what about England? England is behind China support. England.
No. England does not support China. First of all, England is nothing. They're part of us, and the UN. England is part of the European Union, or whatever the hell, the EU. And the EU right now is going anti-China. And the reason why countries don't go against China is because they have no balls and they're afraid of what the Chinese will do to them. But like I said last week, all of that is changing because they can't go up against all of us at once. And the more of us that stand up, like the Quad Alliance I just told you guys all about, that involve the United States, India, Japan, and who else was it? Australia. That's the Quad Alliance. Those powers alone can kick China's ass. Okay? Totally. And that's enough. And it surrounds China. Now we've got Russia involved on our side. Nobody wants to talk about that. The EU is nothing compared to all that power. And that doesn't include Indonesia, Vietnam, Korea, etc., Kyrgyzstan, you name it, all these countries. And then you add in the interior turmoil like Tibet, Mongolia, Xinjiang, or whatever the hell that is, where they're going after the Uyghurs. I mean, there's huge turmoil. So, in other words, not only is China going to be on the ropes because they're starving and they have no more money coming into the country, the rest of the world, mute yourself, Bob, that's vulgar, is going against them all at once. So England, again, is a small power, but again, they're a nuclear power. And the thing is that they go where the money goes. And right now, all the money is against China. And as I told you, the very fact that Chinese-made cell phones is going to become past tense right now should tell you something. No more Chinese computers, no more Chinese cell phones, no more Chinese flat screen TVs. That's over. It's over. They'll be lucky if they get food from us. Horrible things are going to happen, and the CCP is the biggest element right now, and it has to go before anything can change. Okay, and the thing is that they will start wars in order to try to survive. I mean, Xi Jinping's a perfect example. Instead of trying to backtrack and mend fences, what's he doing? Declaring himself president for life like he's Mao or something like that. That shows you that this guy's a nutcase. Now, obviously, he has grandiose delusions of China continuing to dominate the world for the next 32 years, at least, because he plans on living at least till the next 32 years. That's not going to happen, okay? So, anyway, that's all I can say. The world is turning, and the only thing that's holding the world back from pouncing on China right now is the fact that they're waiting for Mother Nature to do it first as much as possible, and they're waiting for the American companies and all the other companies to get out of China as quick as they can. All the diaspora and the expatriates and the executives of all those countries need to get their asses out, because China is not above capturing them and using them and holding them hostage like they are doing right now with the Indians that are in China working. They are holding them hostage, okay? They're evil, evil people, and this regime needs to go down, and it's all part of the great genocide that's coming, okay? And so when it's all over, we don't need to hate the Chinese people. What we do need to hate, though, is the CCP. There's nothing good about it, and it needs to go. All right?
So what does that have to do with the Hong Kong citizens? Are they going to uprise again?
It has everything to do with the Hong Kong citizens, because the Hong Kong citizens are being persecuted. And here's a perfect example. All the American tech companies, including Hollywood, were involved in the persecution of those people in Hong Kong, as well as the AI that's being used in Hong Kong. You have to understand, there is nothing that the Chinese government there's nothing that they do that does not involve Microsoft or Apple or any of these suppliers. Every big American tech company is involved in this criminal activity going on in that country, which is heading in our direction too. So you're going to see a change in all of that. You're going to see lawsuits by the score or greater against all of these big name companies like Apple and IBM, et cetera, all the way down the line. Anyone that's ever done business with China is going to get sued, and they're going to have to replace that product that they built over there, that those people have put spyware into and hardware designed to give government access to every secret and everything that we do. And I put that in my platform 4 years ago that they were going to have to do that, and here we see it coming now today. Okay? So, as far as the people, we can talk about all these details. I'm going to go, all right, because I'm ready. But I want to leave everybody with that, because that's what we were talking about. And, again, we have to try to finish this Getty mission as quick as possible. And it's good to know about these things so that you're aware and you're not taken by surprise when things happen. Because, if you need a flat screen, whatever, you better go out and buy it, okay? But the world is changing, and it's changing faster and faster every day, and that's because of us. And we need it to change faster, because the quicker it's over, the quicker the pain is over, and the quicker we can get into the new thing that we need. So in other words, if we got to go without flat screens, or we got to go without Chinese-made cell phones, let's occupy the Getty and move into the future as fast as possible, yesterday instead of today, and we'll have our future tech, and we'll be over the pain, and maybe we won't have to have a whole bunch of people die in order to get there, if we do our job right. Okay? Is that
sounds
good enough?
Good. Yeah, right. That sounds real good.
Everybody, let's get out of here. Go on. Beat it. I'll see you guys next week. All right, RD, take it easy, man. All right, well, anyway, adios. Anyway, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Unfortunately, we had this thing divided up in two halves pretty well, so you can decide whether or not you want to listen to it. And I'm thankful to say that more people are listening to these things longer. And like I said, we don't do this for your entertainment. This is a mission. And again, a lot of you that are listening may have just joined this effort recently. And we just want you to understand that this is something that you do dedicate your life to, and the rewards are great. And it's the sort of thing that you were born for, and you just have no idea of how rewarding it is to be on this side of history, so to speak, okay? So again, I want to thank all of you for your efforts, those of you that have put so much time into spreading the word. And again, I have to be harsh like a drill sergeant and tell you that's not good enough. Do more, okay? Double your efforts, all of you. If you haven't started, get started, all right? And if you got the book, give it to your family. And if they talk crap, who cares? Give it to more. That's what you got to do. Sooner or later, we're all going to wake up and you will have played your part, okay? So with that, I'm going to let you go, and I'll talk to you next week, and we'll follow up on this mission, because it seems like this is what we need to do. But again, my name is Stephen Kelley. This is the Stephen D. Kelley Show. This is Truth Cat Radio. Tonight's show was Occupy the Getty. What did I say? Increases momentum? I can't remember now. I'll have to review. But anyway, the point is that we're winning this battle. We're winning it because of your efforts and the efforts of the people that are going to join us because of your efforts. Okay? So do it more. And with that, I'm going to say good night. So first of all, it's whoops. I always mess this part up. Did I mention that we take donations, right? Yeah, or is it PayPal? Yes, PayPal I prefer. Patreon's actually going to have some serious trouble because somebody sued them recently, which is, I don't know how that's going to work out, but I don't think they're going to be able to survive, so it's probably not a great idea, but But if you can, send a buck or two to the Stephen Kelley 714 at gmail.com on PayPal. That's really helpful. Okay. Anyway, all right, guys. It's been fun. I'll see y'all next week. God willing. All right. Good night. God bless. Adios. Goodbye.